And we have 2 spots left.
Well,
is LaMichael James one
no,
of them?
he's too small for me. First 2-time consensus All-American. He's a guy that got beat up in college. Now you're going to go to a more violent, stronger, more physical league in the NFL and be healthy? I think he's too small to last in the NFL. I lie, he's fun to watch in the 3,000 uniforms he wears.
Can he put any more bulk on, or no, this is it?
This is kind of what he is.
What we've
very,
got.
very fast.
Hey, Duck fans. Kurt here, chiming in once again with everything that's going on in the world of Oregon sports and with FishDuck.com. So welcome. First, though, it was such a cool week for me. I got to meet twice with Peter Brantley. He was an Oregon linebacker from 1986 through 1990, and he gave me his helmet from 1989. This was used in the Independence Bowl. Signed it, Peter Brantley, 86 through 90, number 85. I may just have to wear this through this entire video. So first of all, news broke that Oregon self-reported a rules violation for Chip Kelly and Mike Bellotti having a conversation about recruits that Bellotti accidentally let slip on national TV on signing day before the LOIs were actually in. That's an NCAA rules violation. In other words, Bellotti said something he shouldn't have on live TV on signing day. Oops. You know, this is a really light violation. It's not a big deal. It's just a whoops, our bad kind of thing sort of moment. And considering that other programs like Georgia have also self-reported this sort of thing, don't expect anything to come of it. Oregon acknowledged it. The NCAA will say, okay, thanks for reporting it, move along. Yeah, I can't do a show wearing the helmet, but would it be creepy if I slept with this thing on? This is like the coolest gift I've ever received in my life. Friday, the baseball, lacrosse, and acrobatics and tumbling teams all opened their 2012 seasons. Lacrosse is on a 3-game road trip on the East Coast. The first one was against Temple before they come home, while the defending national champion acrobatics and tumbling team won their first meet on Friday at Matt Knight Arena. They defeated Azusa Pacific and Quinnipiac. They'll have one more meet at Matt Knight Arena on March 3rd, hosting Baylor. And other than that, the entire season is on the road, leading up to the Nationals at the end of April. Baseball season is now underway as well, starting with a series against Hawaii in Honolulu. Now, if you're going to play baseball in February, I would say Hawaii is probably a pretty good place to start. They lost the first game 4-1, but they won the second game 3-2 in the 12th inning. So they had to work for it, but they're now 1-1 going into a game here on Sunday. The Ducks have 2 more games against Hawaii, then they travel to Nashville for 3 games against Vanderbilt before their first home game February 28th against Portland. Also, Oregon's tennis team is now 7-0 after defeating Eastern Washington. They're currently ranked 69th in the country, but if they keep winning, that's going to change pretty soon. The indoor track season is wrapping up, and the women's track team retains their #1 ranking in the country, a position they've held all year going back to mid-January. Up next is the MPSF Championships in Washington before the Indoor Championships in March. The Oregon's women's team is aiming to three-peat on being national champions. That is just a remarkable feat. The men's team is currently ranked 21st in the country. Once indoor season wraps up, outdoor track season starts March 18th up to the national championships in early June. And then June 22nd through July 1st is the Olympic trials being held at Hayward Field. That leads us into basketball, and what an epic game that was against Cal on Thursday. Ducks lost in the final seconds due to Oregon going cold in the final 5 minutes, except Debelle Joseph, who just went off for a career high. Cal outscored Oregon 21-10 in the final 5 minutes, but Debelle was unbelievable. He made deep shots that, let's face it, Tawan Porter would think were crazy. He single-handedly kept the Ducks in the game down the stretch. Nike apparently has a new product they've come out with, anti-gravity sneakers. Carlos Emery was clearly wearing them because, as we all know, Nike tests new products first on Oregon, and really that's the only explanation I can think of for Emery's redunculous alley-oop slam. This was a really hard-fought game. It was intense. It was not for the weak of heart. And the Ducks fought well, but unfortunately down the stretch, they slipped. Keep in mind, Cal is ridiculously good this year. They stomped Oregon at Matthew Knight Arena, and the Ducks traditionally just have the worst luck when playing against Mike Montgomery. The Ducks men's team faces Stanford on Sunday to try to salvage the road trip in the Bay Area before they head to Corvallis next week. Meanwhile, on Saturday, the women's basketball team unfortunately lost big to Stanford inside Matthew Knight Arena. Final score was 81-46. That sounds bad, and granted, it wasn't good, but a little context about just how good Stanford is year after year. With this win, Stanford claimed their 7th consecutive Pac-10/Pac-12 championship. 7 in a row. Stanford is so good. They're just on a whole different level when it comes to women's college basketball. The Oregon's women's team hosts the Beavers next Saturday at home before going on the road to play Colorado and Utah before the Pac-12 tournament here in Los Angeles. And while talking about the Oregon's women's team, please don't forget to vote for Amanda Johnson in the Lowe's Senior Class Award. You can vote once a day. It's free, and this is an Oregon student athlete that really deserves your support. Not only is AJ a remarkable Oregon athlete who could compete in multiple sports, she carries a 4.16 GPA. How is that even possible? I thought 4.0 was the top. So, as for FishDuck.com, it's been an interesting week for us at the site, and quite a bit of interesting content that we provided all of you. There's lots happening behind the scenes, but let's look at what we delivered to you this past week. On Monday, I had an article that took a closer look at the first 2 black athletes at the University of Oregon, Bobby Robinson and Charles Williams. Both came to Eugene in 1926, and despite adversity, being the pioneers that they were, they shined. In fact, I couldn't 100% verify it, but I do believe that excluding black colleges, Bobby Robinson may have in fact been the very first African-American quarterback in all of college football. It's an interesting story. Please give it a read if you missed it the first time. On Tuesday, Jared Young previewed this year's baseball team with a spotlight on the newcomers. Also on Tuesdays, we will always have a new video out on FishDuck.com, and this week Josh Schlichter examined the various 2-point conversions that Oregon has become quite adept at. It's a fascinating look, so be sure to go watch that video if you haven't already done so. Wednesdays are recruiting days on FishDuck.com, and Mark Flores this past week showcased Oregon's first commit for the 2013 class, Portland resident Thomas Tyner. He's rated the #1 running back in all of the country, and he's been a Duck for quite a long time. We're lucky to have him. Also Thursday was our next video interview, the FishDuck one-on-one. This past week I spoke with Jed Weaver. He was an Oregon tight end from 1994 through 1998, and then a 6-year veteran in the NFL, culminating in a Super Bowl victory with the New England Patriots in 2005. He's a great guy, he's a good interview, he's a local Oregonian. Go watch it if you missed it the first time around. Also Thursday, we continued with our ongoing special series. Guest contributor Chris Carbonare is doing a 5-part series analyzing recruiting star ratings and their comparison to overall success specific to the Pac-12 schools. Last week was the introduction to it. Each week Chris will be counting down the Pac-12 team-by-team rankings 3 at a time. So this week he started with 12 through 10, Washington State, Oregon State, and Colorado. Friday, Josh White took a look at the Oregon basketball team, and specifically senior Garrett Sim. Also Friday, Keeerrrttt chimed in. He is our resident provocateur who appears in the night to poke a stick at Dukes and beef trash. His most recent piece goes over an interview with Bob Kendata and the Washington Huskies Vampire, their athletic director. Saturday, our comedy writer, Kim Hastings, reflected on getting old, and of course it tied back into the Oregon Ducks while jabbing a few Beavers in the process. And today, Sunday, Steve Mayer wraps up FishDuck's week with a focus on senior running back Kenyon Barner. I also want to point out our message board. the Fishbowl. If you haven't yet visited the Fishbowl, come on in, the water's fine. Sign up for an account, which is 100% free, as is everything on our site, and participate in the conversation as we discuss all things Oregon Ducks. And if you want a complete archive of everything that has ever appeared on FishDuck.com, go to the Playbook tab at the top and you can access our complete directory. Be sure to check back next week for more articles, more videos, more FishDuck. And now, my random tweet of the week.
Hey, will you shut up?
Thank you.
For my music recommendation this week, I want to introduce you to a British MC, Corinne Elliott, better known as Speech Debelle. She's a British-born Jamaican MC who has combined jazz and soul influences into her very poetic approach, while telling stories that really convey her honest and positive side despite her very hard-luck life that included for a time being homeless. In 2009, her debut album, Speech Therapy, earned great reviews, and she was actually awarded with the Mercury Prize. That's the annual award given out in the UK and Ireland for the Best Album of the Year. It's the equivalent of the Album of the Year for Grammys. She just came out with her second album this week, but I want to show you a video from her first record that I just love. This is called Spinning.
Soaring bills and high petrol, house prices and inflation. And I'm not too sure what's happening, but they say these are tough times, and I say you ain't gotta tell me, cause I'm tired of opening the papers. I don't even watch the TV. Well, no matter what happens, I'm still an artist. Attached so close, Moses can't part this. Hercules ain't got the strength to make me let go of these beats. Cause a long time now I've been doing this, writing songs since we back school kids. And the only thing that's changed is whether I'm still holding it together. Hey, you can act like you don't know, or you don't wanna know what's past creep up. But if you don't ask questions, you won't know, yo. That's what I know, yo. The world keeps spinning, changing the lives of people in it. Nobody knows where it will take us, but I hope it gets better, better, better. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
One thing I know that it will get better. Music is healing.
Yeah, 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 yeah. One day I know that it will get better. Music is healing. I love the feeling. One day all people will be all equal. Until that day comes, I'll just be saying the world keeps spinning, changing the lives of people in it. Nobody knows where it will take us, but I hope it gets better, 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 better. The world keeps spinning, changing the lives of people in it. Nobody knows where it will take us.
So that's it for me this week. Thank you for watching and for visiting FishDuck.com. Be sure to come back daily for our articles, and don't forget every Tuesday we'll have a new video. On Thursdays we'll have video interviews, and don't forget about our message board, the Fishbowl. Until next time, this is Kurt saying go fish, get hooked, go Ducks.